Mark knocked on Leo's door with a trembling hand. When Leo opened it, his expression was neutral, but it soured the moment his gaze swept past Mark and found the hallway empty. Ethan was not there. The change was instantaneous, his face hardening into a hostile mask. He pulled Mark into the room, the door clicking shut with a sharp finality that seemed designed to muffle any sounds of the confrontation to come. He didn't want Ethan's perception of him to be tainted by what was about to happen. Mark instinctively raised an arm, mumbling something about an upcoming performance and the need to keep his face intact. Leo's voice was low and menacing as he grabbed the front of Mark's shirt, demanding to know what he had said to Ethan to make him want to leave so abruptly this morning. He warned Mark that their relationship depended on a full and honest explanation. Mark's reply was barely a whisper, confirming he had only repeated what Ethan himself had said in a voice message. He then ventured a theory, asking if Leo thought Ethan wasn't straight, suggesting a secret crush on Mark, much like someone from their past. A cold, humorless laugh escaped Leo. He tightened his grip, almost lifting his cousin off the floor, his voice sharp enough to cut glass. He demanded to know on what grounds Mark was making such an accusation, what right he had to slander Ethan's character. The more aggressive Leo became, the more Mark seemed to shrink, trying to reason with him in a faint voice. He pointed out that Ethan had borrowed Leo's hoodie, boasting about their special bond, a closeness that allowed for such sharing. Mark argued that deliberately not packing a sweatshirt only to borrow one was a classic move of someone with a crush, a calculated attempt to get closer to the object of their affection. Leo's face contorted with even greater fury. He explained, through clenched teeth, that it was his idea for Ethan not to bring extra clothes, that he had insisted Ethan just wear his. By Mark's logic, Leo sneered, it was he who had the crush, he who was scheming to get closer. He reminded his cousin of their last conversation on the topic, him not to project his own ignorance onto a friendship deeper than any he had ever experienced. Had his words meant nothing? As his anger mounted, he pinned Mark against the door with one hand on his shoulder, forcing him to listen. The possibility of Mark's head hurting from the pressure never crossed his mind. But Mark was no longer focused on the discomfort. His attention had been captured by something that would stun him for the rest of the year. On Leo's nightstand, there was a single, solitary picture frame. Inside was a photo of two young men, their faces pressed together in an intimate, cheek-to-cheek pose, both smiling warmly at the camera. Mark's mouth fell open. Leo's voice was an icy command. He told Mark to go and apologize to Ethan immediately, to admit he was wrong and promise never to speak such nonsense again. Right now, Mark's thoughts were a chaotic scramble of disbelief. He started to stammer, but Leo's expression darkened, questioning his reluctance. It wasn't unwillingness. Mark was a straight guy, and he felt that even on his deathbed, he would never comprehend this. Who takes a picture like that with a friend, gets it developed, and puts it by their bed? It would be the first thing you saw when you woke up and the last thing you saw before you slept. He couldn't hold it in any longer, and asked Leo why on earth he would keep a photo like that on display. Leo's response was dismissive and harsh, stating it was his business what he looked at. He repeated his demand for Mark to go apologize. Mark, his mind reeling, agreed. The earlier assumption that Ethan wasn't straight now seemed ridiculous. Compared to Leo, Ethan was the epitome of a straight-laced guy. He had wronged a perfectly normal man. As Leo released him, gesturing for him to get out, Mark opened the door. Before leaving, he couldn't resist one last glance back into the room. This time, he saw something that would have shocked his ancestors for generations. Near the window was Leo's desk. Mark had no idea what usually occupied its surface, but it certainly wasn't what was there now. Amidst the clutter lay several skeins of soft, blush-pink yarn, a pair of bamboo knitting needles, and the beginnings of a pink sweater. Before his conscious mind could even process the image, a conclusion formed with terrifying clarity. Leo was knitting a sweater for Ethan. While he had been downstairs questioning Ethan's sexuality, Leo had been up here, lovingly crafting a pink garment for him. Who was the one who wasn't straight? The mental picture sent a shiver down Mark's spine. He stumbled, his foot twisting, and he fell flat on his face in the hallway. Leo frowned at the sight, the thought of hauling the idiot back to his feet crossing his mind. But Mark scrambled away like a startled crab, yelling for Leo to stay back. He reached the top of the stairs and tumbled down them in a graceless heap. Ethan went to check on Mark, whose sprained ankle, while not severe, required a few days of bed rest. Mark lay in bed with an expression of one who had seen the secrets of the universe and achieved enlightenment. Upon seeing Ethan, his face shifted to one of deep remorse. He offered a sincere apology for his earlier suspicions about Ethan's orientation. Ethan just smiled, a hint of weariness in his eyes, and told him not to worry about it. The irony, of course, was that Mark hadn't been wrong at all. Leo stepped out to take a call, likely from his family, leaving the two of them alone. Mark quickly scanned the room to ensure they couldn't be overheard before gesturing for Ethan to come closer. Ethan approached, confused, and leaned in to hear Mark's urgent, "Hushed." He told Ethan that if he was truly straight, he needed to run. He insisted that Ethan was far more straight than Leo ever could be. Ethan was both amused and baffled. He wondered how a simple ankle sprain could have addled the man's brain so thoroughly. He knew exactly how straight Leo was or wasn't. Seeing Ethan's disbelief, Mark grew frantic. He grabbed Ethan's hand, his words tumbling out in a rush. He insisted he was telling the truth, describing the intimate photo on Leo's nightstand. Ethan's lack of surprise only fueled Mark's desperation. This was apparently normal behavior for Leo. The young man, astonished by Ethan's calm demeanor, felt the need to add more proof to his claims. He told Ethan, his voice dropping again, that Leo was also secretly knitting a pink. His sentence was cut short as Leo re-entered the room, his call finished. His eyes landed on Mark clutching Ethan's hand, and his face darkened with rage. He demanded to know what they were doing, his voice sharp and possessive as he ordered Mark to let go. Did Mark not have friends of his own? Why was he touching his friend? Leo strode forward and swatted Mark's hand away, him to keep a normal social distance. Being a patient didn't give him the right to touch people indiscriminately. Mark, bewildered by this display from the man knitting a pink sweater for his friend, pulled the covers over his head in utter defeat. Was it he who no longer understood the world of straight men? Mark's unexpected injury disrupted his plans to stay longer, and he left soon after. Since the fall was his own clumsy fault, Leo faced no blame. He watched Mark depart with his arms crossed, ready to resume his private time with Ethan. However, the incident still bothered him. He was afraid Ethan might still want to leave. He took Ethan's suitcase and carried it into his own bedroom. After trying a few spots, he finally placed it right next to his bed, where he could reach out and touch it. He told Ethan the luggage would stay with him for now, and that Ethan should come to him whenever he needed something from it. Watching this from the doorway, Ethan couldn't help but ask, with a resigned sigh, why Leo didn't just sleep with the suitcase. He questioned if Leo seriously thought he would try to escape in the middle of the night, asking if he thought they were in some cheesy romance novel. Although Leo was certainly on track to become a real-life domineering CEO, Ethan mused that he himself fit the role of the supportive best friend, not the runaway love interest. Leo immediately turned the accusation around, claiming Ethan had clearly been studying such plots and had probably researched every escape route from television dramas. He declared the matter settled. The suitcase was staying. Ethan told him his guess was good, but wrong. He had no plans to run, and he forbade Leo from making any more assumptions. After a moment of silence, Leo glanced from the closet where the unfinished sweater was hidden to the photo on his nightstand. He told Ethan not to believe what Mark said, explaining that every friendship is different and that their way of interacting was perfectly normal. Ethan offered a small smile and assured him he knew Leo considered him his best brother, and that he wouldn't be swayed by anyone's meddling. He told Leo to rest easy, that he only trusted him. Ethan's smile lingered as he lowered his gaze. He affirmed that he saw Leo as his best friend, and that Leo shouldn't think of it as anything else that might tarnish their bond. Working tirelessly every night, Leo finally completed the pink sweater. It was 2 a.m, the house silent and still. He shook out the finished garment, admiring his work. The yarn was high quality, incredibly soft and gentle against the skin, guaranteeing warmth and comfort. He had chosen a subtle blush pink, not the garish neon shade some guys favored. He could already picture how it would make Ethan's complexion look even fairer, more delicate. Satisfied, he neatly folded the sweater and set it aside. Lying alone in his bed, a familiar restlessness began to stir. He had sacrificed his shared nights with Ethan to finish this gift, leaving Ethan to sleep alone. Now that his work was done, he could rejoin him. He figured Ethan was likely asleep, so he would have to be quiet not to wake him. With that thought, he slipped out of bed and went to the guest room next door. He tried the handle, but it wouldn't turn. Ethan had locked it out of habit. The spare key wasn't on him, and he didn't want to wake the housekeeper at this hour to find it. Without hesitation, Leo returned to his room, stepped onto his balcony, and in one fluid motion, leaped from his own balcony to the one adjoining Ethan's room. He slid open the glass door and slipped inside without a sound. The room was dark and peaceful. Ethan was a lump under the covers of the large bed. Leo tiptoed to the bedside and watched him sleep for a moment, a sense of contentment washing over him. Then, like a thief in the night, he slowly lifted a corner of the duvet and began to slide in beside him. He did his best not to disturb Ethan, but as his hand came to rest on Ethan's waist, the other man stirred. A soft, sleepy sound escaped Ethan's lips, but he didn't sound fully awake. Fearing he would wake him completely, Leo held his breath and remained perfectly still, a silent statue in the darkness. Ethan didn't say anything more. Just as Leo thought he had drifted back to sleep, Ethan moved again, pressing his entire body closer. His nose was almost touching Leo's cheek, and with each breath, his soft lips brushed against Leo's earlobe. In an instant, a jolt, like a low-voltage current, shot through Leo's body. They had slept this close before, but it had always been Leo who initiated the closeness. This was the first time Ethan had moved toward him. The obvious conclusion was that Ethan was lost in sleep. Leo slowly licked his lips and turned his head to face him. Their noses touched, their breaths mingling in the small space between them. It was a new kind of intimacy for Leo, one that didn't repel him but instead sent a thrill through his entire body. This was an exclusive closeness, something reserved only for him. Ethan would never be like this with any other friend. He didn't need a partner. He and Ethan would stay this way forever, together until they were old. When Ethan woke up and saw Leo next to him, he was momentarily confused. He asked when Leo had arrived. Leo, squinting as he recalled the previous night, spun a wild tale about being poisoned and needing the antidote, which was conveniently located on Ethan's person, necessitating a dramatic midnight break-in to avert tragedy. Ethan deadpanned that he should have just let the poison do its work. Leo feigned outrage at his cruelty, wrapping his arms around Ethan's waist as he sat up and burying his face against his stomach. He declared that in life he was Ethan's man, and in death he would be his ghost, forever by his side. Ethan was used to Leo's dramatic pronouncements, but the physical contact was more than he was prepared for. He stiffly pushed Leo's head away, asking what he was doing so early in the morning. He reminded Leo that if something were to happen, Leo would be the first to cry foul and accuse Ethan of defiling his innocence. The implication was subtle, but as two men in the early morning, its meaning was perfectly clear to Leo. A glint appeared in his eye as he recalled a previous incident where he had feigned an injury, and Ethan had let him rest his head on his lap in the taxi to the hospital. He hadn't felt disgusted then, and he didn't now. Perhaps one day their mutual help could be upgraded. But not now. Ethan was too easily embarrassed. He would probably kill him if he suggested it. For now, he would wait. Their intimacy could only grow from here. As Ethan's birthday approached, Leo started asking what kind of celebration he wanted. Usually, they would invite a few close friends for a gathering, and after most had left, the two of them would have time alone. It was a balance of social and quiet time that they both enjoyed. Ethan opted for the same this year, and Leo happily began contacting their friends from high school. Since it was before the new semester, everyone was available and excited to get together. They flew back to Ethan's hometown and were met with a warm welcome from their friends. They gathered in a private room at a local lounge they used to frequent, a place that easily brought back memories. One of their larger friends, a man with a surprisingly sentimental heart, was moved to tears by their enduring friendship. He declared them the definition of soulmates, joined at the hip, as always. Another friend playfully smacked him on the back, joking that Leo would beat him up for such cheesy talk. Leo, who had recently cultivated a gentler image, simply raised an eyebrow and smiled benignly, claiming he had never been one to fight, and that their memories must be failing them. Everyone scoffed in disbelief. With so much to catch up on, they decided to break the ice with a game of truth or dare. They used a phone app and a deck of cards. Whoever drew the joker had to answer a random question or perform a dare from the app. Leo was the first to draw the unlucky card. He chose truth. A friend read the question aloud from the phone. Have you had a crush on anyone recently? Answer honestly. Ethan looked up at Leo, who met his gaze with a reassuring smile. In the dim, flashing lights of the lounge, his handsome features seemed even more defined. Leo answered quickly that he had not. He added that the person who could make his heart flutter wouldn't appear for another 100 years, and they could ask Ethan for confirmation. Ethan's expression didn't change as he silently shuffled the deck. Ethan managed to avoid being chosen for a long time. He watched as the app cycled through questions, noticing that most were about relationships. If he were chosen and picked truth, he would likely be asked about his own romantic life. Lying felt pointless, but he had no intention of revealing his true feelings for Leo. The only solution, if he was picked, was to choose dare. Midway through the game, Leo got up to use the restroom. The remaining two friends immediately started grilling Ethan. They couldn't believe Leo hadn't met anyone he liked in 2 years of college. One of them remarked how much Leo had changed since high school. Not in a bad way, but he now had this indescribable aura, a pink bubble of sorts, that made his single friends uncomfortable. The other agreed, mentioning a social media post of Leo's that had made him think they had finally gotten together. Ethan calmly confirmed that Leo wasn't dating anyone and quickly changed the subject, suggesting they start a new round without waiting for him. As the birthday boy, his suggestion was followed. With only 3 players, the odds were higher, and Ethan finally drew the joker. When his friend instinctively moved to select truth, Ethan stopped him quickly and firmly. He wanted a dare. His friend, surprised but intrigued, tapped the screen. When the random dare appeared, his thick eyebrows shot up in amusement. Ethan asked what it was. His friend slowly turned the phone so Ethan could read the words himself. Confess your love to the first person who walks into this room in the next 5 minutes. His friend was stunned. They hadn't called for a server, which meant the only person who could possibly walk in within the next 5 minutes was Leo, who should be on his way back from the restroom any second. The other friend threw his hands up in delight, exclaiming how exciting this was. A true dare. The lights swirled around the room, casting shifting patterns on Ethan's face. He looked down at the words on the screen, his long eyelashes casting shadows on his cheeks. His friend reasoned that if anyone else had gotten this dare, he'd have called it off, but since it was Ethan, at least Leo wouldn't actually hit him. It would be fascinating to see his reaction. A slow smile spread across Ethan's face, the flickering lights like scattered starlight in his eyes. He agreed that it would be interesting. He murmured, almost to himself, that since it wasn't real, he might as well confess. As Leo walked back from the restroom, he heard the intro to a familiar song. It was a popular, melancholic ballad about the quiet pain of unrequited love. The sad melody was completely at odds with the cheerful atmosphere of a birthday party. He decided he would find an excuse to change it as he pushed open the door. A lone figure sat on a stool at the front of the room. It was Ethan. Before Leo could react, his friends pulled him down onto the sofa, telling him to sit and listen. Ethan sang with his profile to them, his back straight even in a relaxed posture. His voice, naturally cool in tone, was perfectly suited to the song's mournful lyrics, conveying the deep sorrow of the words. As a sliver of light passed over his neck, it illuminated the distinct, masculine line of his throat. I never dared to hope for your response, he sang, a faint, familiar smile playing on his lips. Watching you with her, my smile would still be perfect. He turned his head then, his gaze finding Leo's among the small group, that same smile still in place. This love cannot see the light, so I hide it carefully. As Ethan continued to sing, a heavy feeling began to settle in Leo's chest. Logically, he knew Ethan was just performing, but emotionally, he couldn't accept it. The song didn't suit Ethan. How could Ethan ever be so subservient? Who could he possibly love so much that he would endure such heartache for them? It was impossible. Leo stood up and walked to the karaoke machine. The song entered an instrumental break, giving him a chance to speak. He asked why Ethan had chosen such a sad song, suggesting they skip it since there were so many others queued up. Ethan just smiled and shook his head. Though reluctant, Leo respected his wishes and didn't touch the machine. When it was time to sing again, Ethan held the microphone but didn't sing. Instead, he spoke, his voice soft but amplified clearly through the speakers. Leo, he began, there are a few things I've always wanted to tell you. Leo froze, a sudden, inexplicable tension seizing him. The chaotic lights in the room mirrored the frantic, racing of his own heart. Knowing you for so long, being your friend for so long, you've always been so good to me. Ethan's voice was slow, as if he were finally unburdening his soul. He gave a self-deprecating laugh. You shouldn't have been so good to me. After all, people always grow greedy for warmth. Otherwise, as a straight guy, what am I supposed to do when I fall in love with you? As he said the last words, his eyes were locked on Leo. Leo looked completely stunned. His eyes were wide, his mouth slightly agape. The unexpected confession shattered his thoughts, leaving him utterly dumbfounded. His fingertips trembled uncontrollably. The air around him felt solid, making it difficult to breathe. His best friend was in love with him. What was he supposed to do? If it had been anyone else, Leo would have had them thrown out without a second thought. But this was Ethan. He couldn't possibly tell Ethan to get lost. The simple, impossible questions sent his mind into overdrive. Before he could form a coherent thought, he heard Ethan laugh, shattering the tense atmosphere. Ethan's eyes crinkled with amusement. "Scared you, didn't I?" he asked. "Were you about to run for the door? Relax. I have absolutely no improper thoughts about you." Their friends, who had been holding back their laughter with strained expressions, finally exploded, pounding the sofa in hysterics. They marveled at Leo's shocked face, how he had completely fallen for it. His world had just been shattered, and now he had to pick up the pieces. The heat that had rushed to Leo's head dissipated just as quickly, replaced by a cold knot of confusion. "You were messing with me?" he asked, his brow furrowed. His friend quickly held up the phone, showing him the dare on the screen to prove Ethan's innocence. Leo fell silent. Ethan came over and clapped him on the shoulder, asking if he was scared. He offered to make it up to him with an extra slice of cake. Leo allowed himself to be pulled back to the sofa, listening as the others praised Ethan's acting skills. They were amazed he could come up with such convincing lines on the spot. Ethan just smiled and said he'd learned it from watching TV dramas. But in reality, he was no actor. Where had that performance come from? He asked Leo if he had recovered. Leo just grunted and said they should order some drinks. Soon, bottles of beer and wine were brought to the room. Leo acted as if nothing had happened, but he drank heavily, which was unusual for him. Ethan watched him, a quiet understanding dawning. Even as a joke, the confession had clearly been unacceptable to Leo. Being confessed to by another man was undoubtedly one of Leo's boundaries, and even he, his closest friend, had caused him discomfort by crossing it. He suspected Leo wouldn't want any close contact with him for a while. As midnight approached, the cake was brought out. After the ritual of making a wish and blowing out the candles, it was time to cut it. Normally, Leo would have playfully fought Ethan for the honor. But given his current state, Ethan didn't want to cause any more friction and picked up the knife himself. One of their drunk friends protested loudly, insisting the birthday boy shouldn't have to do the work. But before he could reach for the knife, another, larger hand covered Ethan's completely, gripping it tightly and making any escape impossible. Ethan stiffened and turned to meet Leo's gaze. "We cut it together," Leo said. His eyes looked cold and sober, but his words betrayed his drunken state. The sudden contact made Ethan's palms sweat. He quietly agreed. Leo then slung his other arm around Ethan's shoulders, quickly leaned in, and rubbed his cheek against Ethan's, mumbling again about cutting the cake together. Ethan froze, the action confirming his suspicion. Leo was completely drunk. Guided by Leo's firm hand, they cut the large cake. Leo did so with intense concentration, as if it were a wedding cake that demanded the utmost respect. He sliced it into even portions and distributed them. He sternly warned everyone that the cake was delicious and important, and no one was allowed to waste it. Their friends, now thoroughly inebriated, thanked him profusely. One of them staggered around, asking if this was their wedding chamber, complaining about how bright it was. The other joined in the sashal. Leo surveyed the room and slammed his hand on the table, demanding to know what they were still doing in his wedding chamber so late. He told them to get out, that he had business to attend to. The two friends actually listened, stumbling out of the room with their plates of cake, not forgetting to offer some parting advice. One of them tearfully told Leo to be gentle, that Ethan was delicate. The other lamented how quickly his daughter had been married off to this brute. Ethan, of course, couldn't let his two drunk friends wander off. He stood up to bring them back, but was immediately pulled back by a strong arm around his waist. Trying to run? Leo's voice was cold. In your dreams. You entered my door, you're my person now. Ethan, unable to break free, had to play along. He explained that he was just seeing them off, as proper etiquette required, and suggested Leo join him. This time, Leo complied. It was well after midnight, and the three of them were too drunk to continue partying. Ethan decided to take them to a nearby hotel, booking 2 double rooms. He managed to get his 2 friends settled in one room before wrestling the towering Leo back to the other. He tried to get Leo onto the bed, but Leo just sat rigidly on the edge, his gaze as sharp as a blade. Ethan asked if he wanted some water before sleeping. Leo shook his head and patted the spot next to him. Ethan sat down. They looked at each other, Leo's dark eyes unreadable. From past experience, Ethan knew that whenever Leo got this drunk, he would have no memory of it the next day. Leo leaned closer, his shoulder pressing against Ethan's. Ethan spoke quietly, asking if Leo would forget the confession after this drunken night, if the discomfort would vanish, and if they would go back to being the world's best friends. At the mention of best friends, a smile broke across Leo's face. He started fumbling behind him, as if searching for something. Not finding it, he turned around anxiously, asking where his bag was. Ethan told him he'd put it on the chair. Leo retrieved the bag and placed it between them. He told Ethan to guess what was inside, a proud look on his face. Ethan had no idea, but he remembered the bag feeling light when he held it earlier. He guessed it was a collection of photos of Leo from childhood. Leo frowned, asking if that was what Ethan wanted. He promised to give him that next time and told him to guess again. Ethan sighed and guessed it was clothes. Leo's face lit up. He excitedly pulled the sweater from the bag and held it up for Ethan to see, asking if he liked it. Ethan looked at the tagless garment, a wild, almost absurd suspicion forming in his mind. He met Leo's gaze and said softly that he loved it. In that moment, with his strong, defined features, Leo's eyes seemed to hold a deep affection. The tough guy who seemed to have nothing in common with needlework grinned happily. I made it for you, he said. Ethan reached out and touched the sweater. The fine wool was warm and soft against his palm. He suddenly understood the unfinished sentence from Mark. This was why Leo had stopped pestering him to sleep together for a while. He had been secretly knitting. No one could remain unmoved by such a thoughtful gesture. Ethan felt his eyes begin to sting. He blinked and turned his head away. Leo wrapped his arms around Ethan's waist, pressing his nose into the crook of his neck. Try it on for me now, okay? He whispered. Ethan agreed. He gently pushed Leo back, unbuttoned his own shirt, and pulled the sweater on. But Leo wasn't satisfied. He frowned. That's not how you wear it, he said. When Ethan asked how he was supposed to wear it, he found himself pushed back onto the bed. Leo loomed over him, one hand planted next to his head. A sudden coolness spread across his stomach as Leo's other hand slipped under his shirt. Ethan flinched and quickly grabbed Leo's wrist, demanding to know what he was doing. A wicked grin spread across Leo's face. This sweater, he purred, is meant to be worn against your skin. He easily broke free of Ethan's grip and pushed his shirt up. The smooth skin of his torso was exposed to Leo's view. Leo stared, mesmerized. I knew this pink would suit you, he murmured. Ethan had a narrow waist, and Leo's hand easily encircled it. Leo. Ethan tried to struggle, but Leo's strength, amplified by alcohol, was overwhelming. Realizing he couldn't win a physical fight with a drunk, Ethan tried to reason with him, telling him he was hurting him and to let go. Leo immediately relaxed his grip, his expression softening with concern. He gently massaged the spot he had been holding and blew softly on the reddened skin. The cool air and the gentle kneading on his sensitive waist made Ethan arch his back, his neck elongating. His waist was his most ticklish spot. A similar incident in a bathhouse, where a completely innocent back scrub from Leo had elicited an inappropriate reaction, flashed through his mind. It was happening again. From his position on the bed, Ethan could see everything clearly. His own body's reaction, and Leo's gaze fixed intently upon it. Arguing about modesty with a drunk was a fool's errand. He tried to push Leo away again, but his hands were caught. Leo's palms were hot, his breathing more rapid than before. He moved closer, his lips near Ethan's ear. "It's your birthday," he panted. "Let me help you." "What?" The words were so unexpected that Ethan didn't immediately understand. But when he saw Leo start to lower his head, the meaning became terrifyingly clear. "Are you insane?" he yelled, grabbing Leo's collar and forcing his head up. "Do you have any idea what you're doing? You're drunk, you think I'm a girl?" Leo looked genuinely confused. "How could you be a girl? You're a guy. Did you have surgery? Let me check." Ethan batted his wandering hand away, his voice cold. "Then what are you talking about? Isn't doing something like that disgusting to you?" The question seemed to stun Leo. He frowned slowly. "You think I'm disgusting?" Ethan almost laughed in frustration. "I didn't say you're disgusting. I'm asking if you, a straight man, don't find it disgusting to do that for another man?" The question was incomprehensible to the drunken Leo. "I'm helping you. How could helping you be disgusting?" A smile bloomed on his face as a thought occurred to him. "We're best friends." Ethan felt like he had punched a pillow. A deep sense of helplessness washed over him. He sighed. Perhaps he was the one who didn't understand straight male friendship. After all, he was gay. Leo tried to move again, but Ethan kept a firm hold on him. "Leo, I'm going to ask you one last time," Ethan said, his words slow and clear. He would only dare to ask this now, knowing Leo wouldn't remember it in the morning. "Could you accept falling in love with another man?" He looked directly into Leo's eyes. "Could you accept sleeping with another man?" Leo's expression changed. The look of pleasant, drunken contentment vanished, replaced by one of profound discomfort, as if he had eaten something rotten and was fighting the urge to be sick. Ethan wasn't surprised. It was just as he expected. Perhaps it was time. Time to start putting some distance between them. The drunken Leo was not ready to sleep peacefully. He was still determined to give Ethan a unique birthday experience. Ethan, of course, was not going to let that happen. He hauled Leo to his feet. Leo, in a last-ditch effort, tried to explain that it didn't have to be mutual, that it would be a one-sided favor. Ethan coldly refused, stating that such intimacy was reserved for his future partner, a role Leo was not qualified for. The words seemed to inflict some kind of spiritual damage on Leo. His features drooped, and he looked utterly heartbroken. "Is a partner more important than me?" he asked despairingly. Ethan ignored the drunken melodrama and guided him through a quick wash-up before pushing him onto the bed. Leo clung to his hand, wanting to sleep together as usual. Ethan stood by the bed and firmly pried Leo's fingers off him. "If you keep this up," he said in a low tone, "I'm going to ignore you." Leo froze. "Wanting to sleep with you is keeping this up?" Ethan nodded. The threat of being ignored was the ultimate weapon against Leo. His chest rose and fell a few times, and his fingers went stiff before he slowly released his grip. With Leo finally subdued, Ethan was about to go to the other bed when Leo spoke again. "I have one small request," he said. Ethan turned. Leo was lying flat on his back, his hands folded neatly on his stomach. He looked serious. "I've done everything you asked. For that, don't I deserve a small reward?" When Ethan prompted him to continue, Leo looked at his face and enunciated clearly, "A press." Ethan quickly understood. He wanted to press their cheeks together, an act that in Leo's mind was reserved for super close friends. Ethan looked down at his friend of many years, the object of his secret affection. Leo had always been incredibly good to him, a truly sincere friend. Neither of them was at fault. It was only their genders that were wrong. A small smile touched Ethan's lips. "How about we adopt a foreign custom?" he suggested. "I'll give you a kiss on the cheek as well." The offer clearly surprised Leo. He stared for a moment, then nodded enthusiastically. He declared that it was good to learn from other cultures and not be stuck in their ways. And so Ethan slowly leaned down. The distance between them shrank, and Ethan's handsome face filled Leo's vision. The curve of his dark, long eyelashes, his soft-looking lips, the perfect fold of his eyelids. Every detail brought Leo a quiet joy. He was going to get a kiss on the cheek from Ethan. He was already happy before it even happened. Just as he was about to make contact, Ethan's hand cupped his jaw, stopping him an inch away. Ethan chuckled. "In your dreams," he said. "I'm not kissing you. You get no reward." He released Leo's face and straightened up, re-establishing the distance between them. That was it. He wouldn't engage in those interactions anymore. He would try his best to become a normal, ordinary friend to Leo. He switched off the light, and with one final to the stirring Leo, he got into his own bed and closed his eyes. The birthday trip ended, and the start of the semester was imminent. They bought tickets back to school and boarded the plane together. As Ethan had predicted, Leo had no memory of his drunken behavior. His attitude toward Ethan was back to normal. During the boarding process, Ethan asked him if he remembered the confession. Leo said he didn't. Ethan sighed, feigning relief. He said he felt the dare had gone too far and probably made Leo uncomfortable, so it was good that he had forgotten. He told him not to dwell on it. Leo's hand tightened on his suitcase handle. He wanted to say something, but in the end, he said nothing. Ethan was right. The dare had made him uncomfortable. That's why he had drunk so much. The shock of the confession, followed by the hollow emptiness when he found out it was just a game. The emotions had come and gone so quickly, leaving only a lingering dissatisfaction. But he couldn't blame Ethan. Ethan hadn't done anything wrong. In fact, even if Ethan had done something wrong, he shouldn't get angry at him. No, Ethan could never do anything wrong. Leo sorted out his logic and told Ethan magnanimously not to worry about it, that he had already forgotten. They found their seats, which were naturally next to each other. Ethan took the window seat, and Leo sat on the aisle. Just as Leo was about to start a conversation, Ethan pulled a black sleep mask from his bag. He explained he hadn't slept well and needed to catch up. He offered Leo another mask, but Leo shook his head, seizing the opportunity to offer himself instead. He suggested Ethan could sleep on his shoulder, as it would be more comfortable. Ethan glanced at him, then pulled a U-shaped pillow from his bag and secured it around his neck. He said it was fine, he didn't want to trouble Leo. He then pulled the mask over his eyes, asking Leo to wake him when they were about to land. The series of actions left Leo speechless. Before he could even argue about the ineffectiveness of U-shaped pillows, Ethan had tilted his head and appeared to be asleep. Leo swallowed the words he had wanted to say and let Ethan rest. But he was confused. When had Ethan started carrying a U-shaped pillow? He had never used one before when they were together. If he was tired, he would just lean on him. Was his shoulder too bony? Less comfortable than a pillow? Had Ethan grown tired of him? And why was Ethan being so polite? He considered all the possibilities. He wanted to hold Ethan's hand, but Ethan had tucked both hands into his pockets. Pulling them out would wake him. In the end, Leo settled for pressing his arm against Ethan's, a small comfort to ease the frustration of not being able to talk to him. Ethan slept through the entire flight. When Leo woke him, he still seemed groggy and was quieter than usual. They took a taxi from the airport, and once in the car, Ethan closed his eyes again. Had he really slept that poorly last night? His head kept nodding and bumping against the car window. Leo tried to pull him back, but instead of resting on his shoulder, Ethan just leaned his shoulder against Leo's and rested his head back against the seat, falling asleep like that. It was a perfectly normal, friendly gesture. The chatty middle-aged driver saw them in the rearview mirror and chuckled. He commented on how close they were, mentioning how he had driven other groups of young men where one would fall asleep and the others would just laugh and take videos of him. He praised their mutual care, saying it was the kind of friendship that lasts, where they could help each other out with their kids when they got married. The driver's casual chatter made Leo's smile fade. How could their relationship be compared to other ordinary friendships? And why was this random driver cursing them with marriage and children? Leo replied flatly that yes, they had always been close. He didn't want to talk anymore. Since Ethan's hands weren't in his pockets this time, he took one and put it inside his own pocket to warm it up. But after only a few moments, Ethan started to pull his hand away. Still looking half asleep, he mumbled that the position was uncomfortable, that it was hard to sleep. He told Leo not to worry about him, that he wasn't cold, and that Leo should rest too. He pulled his hand free, put it back in his own pocket, and closed his eyes again. Leo quietly agreed. He wasn't tired. The city lights streamed past the window, illuminating his face. He loosely clenched his own hand. The warmth of Ethan's hand seemed to linger for a moment before being replaced by his own. He stared blankly at the vibrant, passing cityscape. He had barely spoken to Ethan all day. For ordinary friends, this amount of conversation would be normal. But for them, it was far too little. Ethan must be exhausted from all the travel. He would be better tomorrow after a good rest. For now, he should just let him sleep. Leo reasoned with himself, but his body still leaned closer, so their shoulders and legs were pressed together. Once Ethan's energy returned, everything would be fine. When they got back to their dorm room, their other two roommates were already there, checking the new semester's class schedule. One of them, a bit chubby, let out a despairing groan and collapsed onto his desk, lamenting the sheer number of classes. Seeing them, he managed a weak smile and greeted them. Ethan dragged his suitcase to his bed and asked what was wrong. At the mention of the schedule, the roommate's smile vanished. He turned his laptop around to show them. The schedule was packed with almost no free time. A small smile flickered on Ethan's lips before he quickly suppressed it and echoed the sentiment, remarking on how busy the semester would be. It was getting late. After putting his luggage away and taking a shower, Ethan came out and tapped Leo on the shoulder. He asked if Leo had checked his schedule yet. Leo had just pulled it up and tilted his phone so Ethan could see. He complained that his schedule was just as packed. Ethan glanced at it and couldn't help but laugh. Seeing Ethan's spirits lift, Leo immediately seized the chance for some playful banter. He accused Ethan of taking pleasure in his misfortune, pointing out that Ethan's schedule was just as bad. He pretended to tickle Ethan, who dodged out of the way. Then a thought struck him and he frowned. This meant he wouldn't have time to sit in on Ethan's classes anymore. For Ethan, this was cause for celebration. If he could, he would have set off fireworks. But for now, he had to be subtle. He just warned Leo not to even think about skipping class. Leo, who had spent years being tutored by Ethan, knew how much he disliked people who skipped. He thumped his chest and promised that he was a changed man, that he loved learning so much that even a missile pointed at his head couldn't get him to leave the classroom before the lecture was over. Ethan knew he was exaggerating, but he played along, saying he trusted him and that he particularly disliked people who made up excuses just to go sit in on other classes. The direct hit made Leo's smile falter. He could only agree that he would never do such a thing. Ethan smiled and patted his shoulder. Since he couldn't be with Ethan during classes, Leo planned to make up for it at night by sleeping with him. After changing his sheets, he washed up and prepared to climb into Ethan's bed as usual. But Ethan had his bed curtain drawn. Leo stepped onto the first rung of the ladder and was about to pull the curtain back when an arm reached out from within. A familiar hand pressed firmly on his shoulder, preventing him from going any further. "Is something wrong?" Ethan's voice came from inside. The question stunned Leo. "Do I need a reason to sleep with you?" He retorted. "Yes." Ethan's reply was swift and decisive. "Go sleep in your own bed." The rejection was so blunt that it left Leo frozen on the ladder. The hand on his shoulder was still there, a clear sign that Ethan was serious. Leo took a few deep breaths, then pulled back the curtain to see Ethan propped up on his elbows. He was wearing a cream-colored pajama top that softened his cool demeanor, making him look warm and approachable. Their eyes met. When Ethan was this firm, Leo rarely argued back, wanting to avoid making him angrier. This time was no different. He softened his gaze and asked gently if something was wrong, if he was in a bad mood. Ethan said he wasn't. Leo poked his head through the curtain opening, his other hand covering Ethan's on his shoulder. "Then why won't you let me up?" he asked. Ethan was silent for a moment, his gaze thoughtful. "Things are different now, Leo," he said slowly. Leo's hand tightened on Ethan's, then quickly relaxed. He forced a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "What's different?" he asked, his voice strained. "Things we could do before we can't do now? Is our relationship regressing?" He spoke faster as he went on, the last few words tumbling out as if they were burning his tongue. If Ethan nodded, he didn't know what he would do. Ethan remained unfazed. He continued in his unhurried tone, "This is a single bed." Leo interjected that it had always been a single bed. Ethan agreed but pointed out that their previous schedules weren't as packed as this one. Back then, a poor night's sleep didn't matter as much because they could rest during the day. Now, with so many classes, he needed quality sleep to have enough energy. Leo was taken aback. "You mean, you never slept well with me?" he asked. In truth, Ethan had slept fine, but he couldn't admit that now. He feigned dissatisfaction. "Do you think two people can sleep well in a single bed? Schoolwork is the priority. This semester, we sleep in our own beds." In most situations, Leo was forceful and wouldn't stop until he got his way. But when it came to someone he truly cared about, he couldn't just ignore their feelings. He looked at Ethan in silence for a long moment, then slowly backed down the ladder. He went to his own bed and climbed up. Ethan watched as he arranged his blankets and moved his pillow to the side of the bed closest to him. "Why didn't you tell me before?" Leo's voice was muffled. "I want my head to be next to yours." Ethan reached over and patted his shoulder. "Good night," he said. "Sweet dreams." Later that night, Ethan was asleep. Leo, of course, was not. The single bed felt vast and empty. It felt like he was keeping a lonely vigil. He couldn't sleep with Ethan anymore. The thought just made him more restless. He propped himself up and looked over at Ethan's bed. In the darkness, he could only make out a silhouette. Ethan was lying on his side, his face half buried in his pillow. He was a quiet sleeper, his breathing so shallow it was almost inaudible. Leo reached out surreptitiously and touched Ethan's hair. The silky strands slipping through his fingers soothed his agitated mind slightly. It was only for this semester. They had many years ahead of them. Things would go back to normal eventually. He had considered suggesting they rent an apartment off campus, but Ethan would likely refuse. He had brought it up during their freshman year, but Ethan had thought it was an unnecessary expense and a waste of travel time. A few months. He could endure it. The first day of classes arrived. They all had morning classes, so they walked out of the dorm together. At the fork in the path, they had to separate. Ethan waved to Leo, saying he would see him at lunch. Their roommates teased Leo, promising to take good care of Ethan and protect him from any ill-intentioned suitors. As Ethan walked away with them, Leo thought to himself that lunch wasn't so far away. It wouldn't be that hard to bear. He was wrong. After a grueling morning of lectures, he found that getting some quality time with Ethan was nearly impossible. After a quick lunch, Ethan needed to rest to prepare for his afternoon classes. Leo could only exchange a few words with him in passing. The quiet, relaxed conversations he had imagined were nowhere to be found. He fell into a deep gloom. No sleeping together at night, no sitting together in class during the day, not even a proper conversation. Was this any way to live? He complained to Ethan, who just laughed. "This is nothing," he said. "It's only the beginning." Leo was confused. Ethan explained calmly that once they started working, they would see each other even less. Leo wasn't a CEO in a TV show who could spend his days flirting. He would have meetings, business trips, and overseas travel. It would be normal for them to only be able to meet up every few weeks. Seeing each other every day now was already a luxury. Leo was about to argue that no matter how busy he got, he would always come home. But then he remembered Ethan's joke about using his CR card to buy a beach house for his future partner. Even if Ethan didn't find a partner, he clearly didn't plan on living under the same roof as Leo. They would be neighbors, which was close but not the same. It was possible that in the future, they would go long stretches without seeing each other. A cold hand seemed to grip his heart, and his expression turned grim. Ethan knew Leo was upset, but he felt he had to prepare him. "Don't overthink it," he said. "This is what growing up and entering the workforce is like. When we're old and retired, maybe we can go fishing together every day. Wouldn't that be fun?" After offering this small comfort, Ethan went to bed, leaving Leo sitting at his desk. The idea of fishing together was nice, but retirement was 40 or 50 years away. Why did growing up have to be so hard? Why couldn't friends just live together forever? In class the next afternoon, Leo found it impossible to concentrate. His mind wandered. What was Ethan doing right now? Was some girl falling for him, slipping him notes? Or was some guy trying to manipulate him, taking advantage of his good looks? It was too dangerous. How could Ethan possibly manage without him there? He pulled out his phone and started sending Ethan a stream of silly memes. Things like, "What you doin', my treasure?" And "Pick whatever you want, my treasure. I'll support you by picking up trash outside." Usually, Ethan would reply during the break between classes. But the bell rang, and there was no reply. The next class started and ended, still nothing. Just as Leo was about to call him, a reply finally came through. It was a meme of an angry cat with the caption, "Caught you slacking off again." Leo felt a wave of relief. He quickly typed back, "What took you so long? I've been waiting for an eternity." Ethan replied that the lecture had been dense and had given him a headache, so he had used the break to review his notes instead of checking his phone. He apologized. Leo thought it was strange for Ethan to apologize. Why was he being so formal? He thought about all the stories he'd heard of people whose partners would ignore their messages for hours because they were playing video games. In comparison, he was lucky. But Ethan was clearly overworked. He needed to eat well. So, Leo asked if he wanted to go out for a nice meal that weekend. There was a pause, and Leo could see the typing indicator appear and disappear several times before a single word came back. Okay. Another message followed. Can I pick the restaurant? Of course he could. Leo would buy the entire restaurant for him if he asked. After Leo's affirmative reply, their conversation ended as class resumed. The promise of a weekend meal with Ethan lifted Leo's spirits, and he was able to focus on the lecture. The restaurant Ethan chose was a highly interactive dinner theater. The main draw wasn't just the food, but the live song and dance performances. The dancers would even come off the stage and invite random guests to dance with them. Leo had no objections. That weekend, they went to the restaurant and sat at their reserved table. It was a good spot, close to the stage with an unobstructed view. They ordered their food, and Leo started to talk to Ethan, but his words were drowned out by the start of a song. Ethan, unperturbed, this was, after all, his plan, said he couldn't hear him and suggested they just eat and enjoy the show. The chairs weren't fixed to the floor. Leo stood up, picked up his chair, and moved it right next to Ethan's. Their knees and legs touched. I can hear you now, he said with satisfaction. A miscalculation on Ethan's part. Before the food even arrived, Leo reached down and took Ethan's hand. It had been a while since they had held hands. The simple contact made Leo happy, and a smile spread across his face. He asked if Ethan wanted to go anywhere else after dinner, his treat. Ethan shook his head and tried to pull his hand away, but Leo's grip was firm. Not having a good excuse yet, Ethan helplessly asked if they weren't a bit old to be holding hands in public, like kindergartners. Exactly, I'm only 3, Leo retorted. Ethan gave him a dry look. I'm not looking to adopt a son. Leo immediately changed his tune. In the span of a single sentence, a 3-year-old has become a 30-something adult. From now on, I am your reliable safe harbor. Ethan laughed. He joked that if they kept this up, they'd soon ascend to immortality. Gradually distancing himself from Leo was a step-by-step process. Ethan didn't want to cut him off completely, just to recalibrate their friendship to a normal level. So, he allowed himself this moment of levity, teasing Leo with a typical drama trope. He said that when he booked the restaurant, he had wondered if it was one of Leo's family's businesses, and if the manager would rush over, bow, and declare their meal was on the house in honor of the young master's visit. Leo pondered this seriously. Oh, so you like that kind of thing? I thought you preferred to be low-key. He picked up his phone. It's not impossible. I can call him over now. Ethan quickly stopped him, flustered that such a cliché could actually be real. He insisted he was just joking. Their food arrived, and Ethan busied himself with eating, finally getting some peace. The song ended, and veiled dancers in exotic costumes took the stage. They were skilled, their movements graceful and rhythmic. As he ate and watched, Ethan thought it had been a good choice to come here. After a while, Leo's voice, laced with an odd, sour tone, sounded in his ear. You're really captivated. Are they that much better looking than me? Ethan blinked, then gave Leo a classic, uncomprehending look. Leo, you're a guy. Why would you compare yourself to women? That's not a healthy way of thinking. As a straight man, it's perfectly normal for me to find women more attractive. Under the restaurant's ambient lighting, Leo's face seemed to turn a shade of green. Just then, The dancers came down from the stage for the interactive part of the show. Two of the graceful dancers approached their table. Leo dismissed them with a frown without even looking at them. In the past, Ethan would have politely declined as well. But now, looking at the delicate female hand extended to him, an idea sparked. If he accepted this invitation, then the next time Leo tried to hold his hand, he would have an excuse. He could say that Leo's hand felt completely different from a woman's, that it felt strange, and he didn't want to hold it anymore. He was a straight man. He had never held a woman's hand before, so holding Leo's hadn't seemed weird. This dance would be his awakening. Leo's eyes widened in disbelief as he watched Ethan place his hand in the dancer's and stand up. This was completely out of character for Ethan. A klaxon went off in Leo's head. Ethan was going to dance with someone else. He had never even danced with him. It was over. Ethan had found a girl he liked. Leo watched, frozen, as Ethan and the beautiful dancer moved to a more open space a few feet away. A lyrical melody began, and the dancer started to spin and leap, her skirt flaring around her. She spun outwards until their arms were taut, then spun back towards Ethan, ending the move in a pose that made her look as if she were resting in his arms. It was a clever illusion. There was still a gap between them. But from Leo's angle, all he could see was the dancer, her eyes closed, a blissful smile on her face. The fork in Leo's hand began to tremble, not from fear, but from rage. Why was someone else in Ethan's arms, smiling so happily? What did this mean? Had this dancer also fallen for Ethan? Were their feelings mutual? And where did that leave him? He had happily brought Ethan here for a meal, for their private time together, and now he was the third wheel, the unwanted chaperone? He was here first. Logically, Leo knew that storming over and interrupting them would be rude. But who could be logical in a situation like this? He shot to his feet, his face terrifying. The table shook, the ceramic plates rattling. Ethan heard the commotion and glanced over at him, his expression unreadable. That one simple look was enough to stop Leo in his tracks. A terrible thought occurred to him. If he dragged Ethan away, he might be satisfied, but Ethan would be deeply embarrassed. It would be like a parent dragging their college-aged kid out of an internet cafe, a massive blow to his pride. Ethan might get angry, might refuse to talk to him. He couldn't risk that. He couldn't lock Ethan away until he agreed to forgive him. That was illegal, and Ethan, being a law student, hated people who broke the law. He couldn't have Ethan hating him. Suppressing his fury, Leo slowly, stiffly, sat back down. After what felt like an eternity, the dance finally ended, and Ethan returned to his side. Leo couldn't completely control his temper. Well, he sneered, "Did you have fun dancing?" Ethan, wiping the lingering scent of perfume from his hand with a wet wipe, replied that it was all right. He commented that the interaction was well choreographed and didn't make him feel uncomfortable. Leo's expression was a thundercloud. He tried to force a gentle smile, but it looked more like the grimace of a man who had just lost everything. It was obvious he was unhappy. Ethan sighed. "Don't be upset. Why don't you go dance too? We'll each have a turn. Then it's fair." From a friend's perspective, he hadn't done anything wrong. But Leo's possessiveness over his friends was truly extreme. "What kind of person do you take me for?" Leo's anger flared again. He grabbed his knife and fork and began to savagely cut the steak on his plate, treating it like an enemy. Not wanting Leo to get sick with rage, Ethan tried to reason with him. "Why are you so angry? Because I left you alone to go have fun? So, you do know," Leo's eyes were filled with a mixture of anger and betrayal. "You were out there living it up while I was sitting here all alone, like a..." a sad piece of lettuce. Ethan asked him directly what it would take to make him happy now that the dance was over. Leo silently continued to cut the steak into bite-sized pieces, revealing the pink center. He preferred his steak rare, but Ethan liked it medium well, so that's what he had ordered. He wondered if the girl would order steak to Ethan's liking when they started dating. Why should his person have to make such compromises? After finishing the steak, Leo fell silent for a long moment before asking abruptly, "Do you like her?" Ethan was exasperated. He assured Leo that it was nothing like that. He was just trying out the restaurant's special feature. The dancers were veiled. He couldn't even see their faces. Leo's mood brightened slightly. He speared a piece of steak with a fork and held it to Ethan's lips. "Let me feed you," he said, his tone turning dark. "You wouldn't be willing to dance with a stranger in public but refuse to eat what I feed you, would you?" Ethan didn't really want to be fed. They had done this before, but things were different now. Back then, he had thought he was straight. Now, being fed bite by Leo felt strangely submissive. But a direct refusal would lead to questions about why it was okay before but not now. He had an idea. He held out his own hand, palm up. "How about I feed you?" he offered tentatively. A guy like Leo, with his proud personality, would probably never. Before he could finish the thought, Leo had shoved the fork into his hand. "Oh, that would be too much trouble for you," he said, beaming. "Then I'll have to rely on you. Feel free to spear whatever you'd like." Another miscalculation. Ethan fed the piece of steak to Leo, who lowered his head and took it without any hesitation. He looked genuinely happy, sitting up straight with a strange smile on his face. Ethan thought that if Leo were a dog, his tail would be wagging hard enough to create a vortex. Was he really this happy just interacting with a friend? But then, Ethan realized he was happy too. His expression softened, and he speared a few other items that he knew Leo liked and fed them to him. After a few bites, Leo told him to eat too, not to just feed him. Ethan thought that was reasonable, so he took a bite for himself, then fed another to Leo. Leo watched as the same fork went into Ethan's mouth, then into his. He licked the tines of the fork, savoring the taste, and squinted with satisfaction. This was something only they could do, right? Best friends could share food, drink from the same bottle, and eat each other's saliva without a second thought. Reassured that Ethan had no interest in anyone else, and having enjoyed a cozy meal, Leo was in a much better mood. They walked back to the school through the quiet, cold campus. Leo took Ethan's hand and tucked it into his pocket to keep it warm. At first, Ethan didn't resist, but after a few minutes, he spoke seriously. "I don't think this is right." Leo was confused. "What's not right? You don't like the size of this pocket? We can make do for now. I won't wear this jacket next time." "No, that's not it," Ethan said, reciting the lines he had prepared. "I think it's weird for two guys to hold hands." Leo was dismissive. "Where did you hear that nonsense? It's not weird at all. Girls hold hands all the time, and no one says anything." The pocket was warm and comforting. Ethan's fingers twitched, and he found a gap and pulled his hand free. "I didn't hear it from anywhere," he said coolly. "I just suddenly feel that it's not right. Your hand is big and rough. It's a man's hand." And Leo was bewildered. "Congratulations. After all these years, you've finally realized I'm a man?" Ethan turned to look at him, his expression serious. "After today, I think I should be holding a girl's hand. Do you understand what I mean?" After today, after touching a woman's hand, he had realized that it was a woman's hand he wanted to hold, not a man's. The wind howled, and the warmth in Leo's pocket vanished in an instant. He stopped walking. His handsome face was covered with a thin layer of frost. He tried to laugh it off as a joke. I don't understand. What are you saying? I must be going deaf. Ethan studied his expression. You understand, he said firmly. So, from now on, let's not hold hands anymore. Back in the dorm room, Ethan went to take a shower. Leo, meanwhile, frantically messaged his cousin, Mark. Unlike him, who had been single for 20 years, Mark had a girlfriend. He was not only an expert at spotting gay men but also had far more dating experience. After sending you there 20 or 30 times, his consultant finally responded, complaining that Leo's messages were flooding his game. Leo cut to the chase. How do you nip a budding romance in the bud before it even has a chance to sprout? Mark was shocked. Had Leo finally realized he wasn't straight? And his first reaction was to kill the feeling? He typed back, "Are you sure you want to kill this feeling?" Leo was impatient. What's there to be unsure about? Stop wasting my time. Just give me a quick and direct method. Mark was confused. If you really want to end it, just move out of the dorm. Stop seeing him so often. Leo frowned at the message. His already bad mood soured further. Is your brain made of oatmeal? He typed angrily. Why would I ever want to end things with Ethan? Our relationship is going to grow into a giant redwood tree. Mark was even more confused. Then what are you trying to kill? Leo finally clarified. I suspect Ethan is starting to want to date a girl. Mark stared at the screen. So, the romance he wanted to kill was Ethan's potential relationship with a girl. Leo really wasn't straight. He typed furiously, the thing I hate most in this world is gay guys trying to turn straight guys. What's wrong with a straight guy wanting to date a girl? It's none of your business. I'm blocking you. Don't contact me again. And just like that, Mark was gone. Leo was fuming. What gay guy turning a straight guy? Wasn't it normal for someone not to want their best friend to get a partner and abandon them? And he just wanted to temporarily show Ethan that dating was a waste of energy compared to developing their friendship. He could take care of all of Ethan's daily needs so Ethan could focus on his studies. If anyone else did that, people would say Ethan wasn't looking for a partner but a housekeeper. What was so bad about sticking with him and contributing to the nation's development? When Ethan came out of the bathroom, he saw Leo slumped at his desk, looking dejected. Ever since their walk back, Leo's mood had been off. Ethan understood. If their roles were reversed, he would probably also feel a bit down if Leo suddenly showed interest in girls and started spending less time with him. He knew he couldn't just push Leo away. He had to balance the distancing with moments of reassurance. Leo, he said, look at me. Leo looked up, and his eyes widened. Ethan was wearing the pink sweater he had knitted. His hair was still damp from the shower, and his cheeks were flushed from the heat. He looked, Leo thought, 100 times sweeter than a strawberry mochi. The sweet, soft-looking Ethan walked over to him. Leo quickly stood up to greet him. The sweater fit Ethan perfectly. Leo knew his measurements by heart from all their casual embraces. Ethan touched the sweater. It's very comfortable, he said with a smile. Thank you for the gift. You worked hard. Leo's voice was soft. It was nothing. If you like it, I'll make you one every year. Ethan laughed. Then I'll need a separate closet just for all the clothes you knit. The thought of that closet, in a future home Ethan might share with someone else, filled Leo with an unidentifiable dread. He leaned in close, his voice a low murmur. Can I have a hug? Ethan considered it for a moment, then opened his arms for a friendly embrace. Leo held him tight, burying his face in the crook of Ethan's neck, inhaling his favorite scent to quell the rising panic in his chest. For now, Ethan was in his arms. And in the future, he would do everything in his power to keep him by his side. Ethan patted his back comfortingly. All right, what's with the long face? Anyone would think I did something terrible to you. It's just holding hands. We're going to be friends for many more years. Leo's mood gradually improved. He let go of Ethan, glanced at the chair, then at Ethan, and had an idea. He sat down and patted his lap. "Sit," he said. "Let's have a heart-to-heart. It's been a while." The image of Ethan sitting on his lap, face to face, was too beautiful to resist. Ethan stared at him. "It's the weekend, our roommates are out, and this is what you come up with?" Leo patted his thighs again, urging him closer. Ethan refused without hesitation. "Why would anyone sit on a lap when there's a perfectly good chair?" he said. "If you really want to talk, I'll go get another chair." Leo grabbed his wrist to stop him. "Why sit on a cold, hard chair when you have a warm, elastic human sofa right here? Trust me, this one's the best." Of course, Ethan had no intention of sitting on his lap, especially not face to face. He came up with a cruel but effective excuse to break the cloying atmosphere. "No thanks," he said. "I'm afraid I'll get poked by a needle." Leo looked at Ethan. Then he looked down at himself. The room was silent. Ethan pulled his hand free and bolted, but Leo caught him and wrapped an arm around his waist. He was half laughing, half furious. "Oh, so 20 centimeters isn't enough for you, huh?" Ethan just smiled calmly. "It's fine, I guess. But what's the use of bragging to me? You've been single for 20 years. The comment hit a nerve. Leo, unable to hit or yell at the person who angered him, acted on pure impulse. He held Ethan's waist with one hand and lightly spanked him a few times with the other, choosing the spot least likely to cause injury. "See if you dare to laugh at me next time," he muttered. Ethan was wearing thin pajama pants, and he could clearly feel the heat from Leo's palm. Leo froze, realizing what he had just done. "Are you going to take your hand off?" Ethan asked in a low voice. Leo quickly removed his hand and watched as Ethan, the tips of his ears red, climbed into his bed. Leo unconsciously flexed the fingers that had just touched Ethan, a phantom softness lingering there. He sat in his chair for a while, then went to the bathroom as if in a daze. He saw Ethan's underwear soaking in a basin. Ethan must have been about to wash it but forgot after their little confrontation. No matter, he could wash it for him. And so, the future multi-billionaire CEO stood at the sink, his hands covered in soap, diligently washing his friend's underwear. A small smile spread across his face as he worked. Ethan was so good. Washing his clothes was so good. Back in the room, Ethan heard Leo's footsteps approach his bed. He turned his back to him. The covers were gently straightened and tucked around him. "Don't be mad," Leo said. "I'll take you to the museum tomorrow to make it up to you. I just lost my temper. I'll be more careful next time." Ethan hadn't actually been that angry. It was more embarrassment than anything. It was a normal, if slightly childish, interaction between friends. His attention shifted to what Leo had said. "Why are we going out again tomorrow?" He had already spent the whole day with Leo. "You don't want to go out? Then how about the library?" Leo suggested. Ethan demurred, saying he would think about it. The topic was dropped, and Ethan thought he could finally get some peace. But then he felt his bed shift slightly, as if someone was climbing up. He turned around quickly to see Leo halfway onto his bed. "What are you doing?" he demanded, pushing him back. "Didn't I tell you, no getting on my bed this semester?" Leo explained, "You said you needed to sleep alone on weekdays because of classes. But tomorrow is the weekend. We can sleep together like we used to, right?" He paused, his voice dropping. "We've been sleeping apart for 5 days. I miss you." Ethan frowned, unmoved by Leo's plea. This was a clear loophole he hadn't considered. If they slept together 2 out of every 7 days, All his efforts to maintain a normal distance would be for nothing, especially since they already spent most of the weekend together. He needed a way to be busy on weekends too. He put on an angry expression. "Do you have no memory of what you did tonight? And you still want to sleep with me? Go back to your own bed." Defeated, Leo retreated to his bed. An idea had already formed in Ethan's mind. He opened his phone and searched for part-time jobs in the city. The plan was simple. Get a weekend job, and he would have a valid excuse to be busy during the day and need a full night's rest at night. There were plenty of options popular with college students. He had worked various odd jobs in high school to help with his mother's medical bills, so he was a quick learner. He thought about how he had successfully tutored Leo, turning him into a top student. Maybe he had a knack for teaching. He browsed the listings and found a suitable one, a high school tutor position with a high hourly wage at a reputable address. He sent in his application, highlighting his status as a provincial top scholar and his success with Leo. He got the job. He added the client on a messaging app. The profile picture was of a friendly-looking, well-dressed middle-aged woman. After a brief greeting, a series of anxious messages came through. Her son was a junior, about to be a senior. Was it too late to start tutoring now? Ethan gave a standard, reassuring reply. He was a bit puzzled. The family was clearly wealthy. Why were they looking for a tutor on a public job board now? The woman, Mrs. Wong, sent another message. Her son was a bit rebellious and had scared off all his previous tutors. She asked if Ethan's physical fitness was good. Did he perhaps know a few moves? Now Ethan understood. He gave an affirmative reply. Mrs. Wong, either convinced or just desperate, gave him the time and address for his first session. It was for the next day, in an expensive downtown commercial district, some distance from the school. Ethan was calculating his wake-up time when Leo leaned over from his bed and asked if he wanted to go see a movie tomorrow. Ethan shook his head. "I probably won't have time on weekends from now on," he said. "I'll be busy, so you should find someone else to go with." Leo's expression darkened. "Why won't you have time?" he asked, forcing a smile. "Are you dedicating yourself to the development of our nation? Take me with you, I'm a pillar of society too." Ethan replied coolly, "I'm getting a part-time job." He explained that he had been too relaxed his freshman year. But now he felt he should be earning more money to save up for emergencies and to be able to afford things he wanted without stress. Leo frowned. He wanted to say something but was afraid of hurting Ethan's pride. He finally managed, "You can always borrow from me if something comes up. That's what friends are for." Ethan shook his head. "A loan is still a debt that needs to be repaid. It's better to be prepared." Leo watched as Ethan set his alarm and looked up the subway route, a storm brewing inside him. Ethan was always so distant when it came to money. He wouldn't even accept money Leo had earned himself through investments. For most wealthy families, this would be a relief. But not for Leo. The whole reason he was learning to make money was so that the people he cared about wouldn't have to worry about it. For Ethan to refuse his money was like being treated as an outsider. Just during the winter break, they had been fantasizing about buying yachts with his card. Now they were back to this. And because of money, he wouldn't even have time to spend with him on weekends anymore. Leo's composure finally broke. He slapped his hand over Ethan's phone screen, forcing Ethan to look at him. "You don't have to pay it back," he said, his face as dark as a thundercloud. "Link your payment app to my card. Do it now." He looked terrifying, but Ethan wasn't afraid. He calmly refused, explaining that money matters had to be kept clear to avoid disputes. He had seen too many cases like that. Seeing Ethan's resolute expression, Leo backed down, but insisted on driving him to and from his job. Ethan, figuring Leo would just follow him anyway, agreed and gave him the address. "All right," he said, putting his phone away. "I have to get up at 7 tomorrow. Good night." The next day, Ethan arrived at the tutoring location. After promising Leo he would call him at the first sign of trouble, he finally managed to get him to leave. He rang the doorbell, and the door was opened by Mrs. Wang, who looked just like her profile picture. She welcomed him warmly, mentioning she had seen a news article about him and was impressed by how handsome today's top scholars were. Ethan looked around the lavishly decorated apartment but didn't see anyone else. He asked where the student was. Mrs. Wang's cheerful expression faded. She sighed and led him to a closed door, from which loud, rhythmic music was blaring. She knocked. "Shue shue," she called out, "the new teacher is here." The music stopped, and a defiant voice yelled from inside, "I told you I don't want a tutor. What's wrong with being a street punk? Life is about freedom. You wouldn't understand how cool it is." So he was a rebel, but a different kind from Leo. At least Leo had never aspired to be a street punk. Ethan felt a surge of sympathy for the worried mother. "Can I just go in and talk to him?" he asked. Mrs. Wang hesitated, him that her son had a bad temper and liked to get physical. "It's fine," Ethan said calmly. "I'm not bad with my hands either." Mrs. Wang, amused and perhaps a little hopeful, unlocked the door. "Well," she sighed, "if he bullies you, just come out. We'll compensate you for any damages." Ethan just smiled, gave a polite knock on the now open door and stepped inside, closing it behind him. It was better for the parents not to see him disciplining their unruly child. The bedroom was huge and messy. The student, Wang Shui, was dressed in ripped punk clothes and sat with his back to the door, his feet propped up on his desk. He looked every bit the part of a young hoodlum. He sneered, "I'll give you 3 seconds to get out before I get physical. A college tutor? I could take you down with one hand." Ethan ignored him. "I've spoken with your mother. Your foundation is weak, so we'll start with freshman year material and review some middle school concepts as needed."